Ethan Wallace wasn't the kind of man who liked unnecessary attention. He worked from home, kept his yard immaculate, and only spoke to his neighbors when absolutely necessary. For the most part, people left him alone, and that was exactly how he liked it. Until one simple decision brought him under a glaring spotlight. It all started on a quiet Thursday afternoon in Maplewood, Missouri. Ethan had just wrapped up a long morning of remote work and decided to take a break by checking his internet speed. Lately, his Wi-Fi had been acting up, slower than usual, lagging during video calls, buffering when he streamed music. At first, he chalked it up to his internet provider being unreliable. But something gnawed at him, pushing him to dig deeper. Pulling out his phone, he accessed his router settings. Almost immediately, something odd popped out, an unfamiliar device connected to his network. The name wasn't a random string of numbers and letters, but something deliberately labeled. Maplewood_Unit 01. That was strange. Ethan lived alone. His devices, phone, laptop, smart TV, were all accounted for. He wasn't the type to hand out his Wi-Fi password either. So, who was piggybacking on his internet? Frustrated, he decided to kick off all unauthorized devices and change his password. For a stronger signal, he stepped outside to his driveway while updating the credentials. That's when Barbara Langley noticed him. Barbara, from her kitchen window across the street, watched Ethan standing there, eyes glued to his phone, fingers moving quickly. She'd never trusted him, not for any tangible reason, but simply because he kept to himself. He didn't show up at neighborhood BBQs, never mingled during block parties, and now, there he was outside, apparently tampering with something. Her mind leaped to the worst possible conclusion. He was hacking something. Before she could talk herself down from the suspicion, Barbara snatched her phone and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Yes, I need to report something suspicious, Barbara said in a whisper. My neighbor, he's outside, doing something strange with his phone. It doesn't look right. Can you send someone over? The dispatcher asked follow-up questions, but Barbara's answers were vague. I just know something's off, she insisted. Officers were dispatched. Meanwhile, Ethan remained oblivious, focused on fixing his Wi-Fi. But his quiet afternoon was about to spiral into something much darker than he could have ever imagined. Minutes later, sirens wailed in the distance. Ethan barely noticed until a squad car slowed down and stopped right in front of his house. Two officers stepped out. One was Detective Marcus Vega, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a firm demeanor. Beside him was Officer Jenna Hayes, shorter, but with a commanding presence that radiated authority. Ethan let out a breath. Here we go, he muttered. Sir, Vega called out, his hand resting near his belt, close to his gun, but not quite. We received a call about suspicious activity. Can you tell us what you're doing? Ethan frowned. I'm changing my Wi-Fi password, he replied, confused but careful to keep his tone neutral. Vega exchanged a look with Hayes. Do you live here, sir? Ethan almost laughed at the absurdity. His car was parked in the driveway. His name was on the mailbox. Yeah, been here 3 years. Before Vega could respond, Barbara's voice cut through the air. He's lying. Ethan turned. There she was standing on her porch, arms crossed, watching like she was the neighborhood watch captain. He's always outside, lurking. Always on his phone, acting shady. I've seen him. Now he's out here, tapping away for like 10 minutes straight. He's up to something. Ethan blinked in disbelief. I was updating my router settings because someone's been using my Wi-Fi without permission. Barbara scoffed. Sure, and I'm a Queen of England. Vega turned to her. Ma'am, do you have any evidence of him doing anything illegal? Barbara hesitated. I just have a bad feeling. Vega sighed, patience thinning. He looked back at Ethan. Would you mind if we checked your router settings? Just to clear this up. Ethan clenched his jaw. He didn't have to let them, but he also didn't want to escalate things. Fine, he muttered. Unlocking his phone, he pulled up the router's dashboard. Here, look. Vega and Hayes leaned in. Vega's brows furrowed as he spotted the unknown device. Maplewood_Unit 01. Who owns that device? Vega asked. Not me, Ethan replied. Hayes stepped forward. So, Someone's been using your Wi-Fi without permission? Yeah, and I don't think they're just freeloading internet. Check the logs. They've been connected nonstop. Vega's posture shifted. This wasn't just a petty neighborhood squabble anymore. Barbara, still on her porch, frowned. Wait, what do you mean? Ethan turned to her. I mean, someone's been accessing data streams, probably watching. And it's not just me. They might be spying on the whole neighborhood. Barbara paled, her earlier smugness evaporating. Vega's tone grew serious. Let's get inside. I want to see exactly what we're dealing with. Inside, Ethan mirrored the router screen onto his laptop. Hayes scanned the list of connected devices. There it is, she muttered, pointing. Still active. Ethan clicked into the activity logs and froze. What is it? Vega asked. Ethan's throat went dry. It's been accessing my security cameras. The room fell silent. Barbara gasped. What? Ethan spun the laptop around. My home security system. Someone's been logging in, watching my live feeds. Hayes' jaw tightened. And if they accessed yours? Ethan clicked deeper into the logs, tracing flagged IP addresses. More than half weren't his. Oh no, he whispered. What now? Vega demanded. Ethan highlighted the list. They're spying on other houses too. Barbara gasped again, this time more frantic. Are you saying someone's been watching me? Ethan didn't look away. That's exactly what I'm saying. Barbara staggered backward, her face pale. Vega wasted no time calling for cybercrime support. This is bigger than we thought, he muttered. Ethan kept working, tracing the data's destination. His fingers flew over the keys until he froze. The data's not going to some random server, he murmured. It's coming from inside the neighborhood. Barbara's eyes widened. Someone here? Ethan nodded. Just a few houses down. Vega's voice was tight. Can you pinpoint it? Ethan did. His heart sank as he recognized the address. Barbara gasped again. That's my house. More precisely, her nephew's. Jeremy Langley, a 22-year-old college student, had moved in with her a few months back. No, Barbara whispered. He wouldn't. Vega cut her off. We're talking to him. Now. Moments later, they were at Barbara's front door. She called upstairs. Jeremy, come down. No answer. Vega and Hayes exchanged glances before heading upstairs, Barbara trailing behind. They knocked hard on Jeremy's door. Police! Open up. A beat of silence. Then, footsteps. The door cracked open, revealing Jeremy, nervous, pale, his eyes darting. What's going on? He stammered. Vega didn't waste time. We have evidence linking your computer to unauthorized surveillance in the neighborhood. You want to explain that? Jeremy's face twitched. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, step forward. Can we see your laptop? Jeremy hesitated. You need a warrant. Vega's voice dropped. We can get one, but now's your chance to talk. Jeremy cracked. Okay. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It started as a joke. I wanted to see if I could hack into someone's Wi-Fi, just messing around. But then I found the security cameras. Barbara's voice trembled. Jeremy, how many people have you been watching? Jeremy lowered his head. I don't know. Barbara staggered back, tears welling. Vega didn't hesitate. Jeremy Langley, you're under arrest for unauthorized computer access and unlawful surveillance. As Hayes cuffed him, Barbara stood frozen, the weight of her mistake crashing down. She had called the cops on an innocent man, while the real threat had been living under her roof. Outside, as Vega led Jeremy to the patrol car, Ethan stood on the sidewalk. You were right, Vega admitted. Ethan gave Barbara a long, heavy look. You called the cops on me for changing my Wi-Fi password. Meanwhile, the real problem was in your house. Barbara's voice cracked. I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Ethan shook his head. Just do better. With that, he walked away, leaving Barbara standing alone, haunted by her own assumptions. Because sometimes the real danger isn't where you expect. It's where you least want to look.